Let's call meeting to order. Pledge of Allegiance, Councilmember Thompson. Roll call, please.
Mayor Larkey.
Here.
Councilmember White.
Here.
Councilmember Thompson.
Here.
Councilmember Davidson.
Here.
Councilmember Pryan.
Here.
Councilmember Lawson.
Here.
Councilmember Richardson.
Here.
Councilmember McCallum.
Here.
Councilmember Johnson.
Here.
We have a quorum. Personal appearances, one employee recognition. One Shannon Belt's 20 years of service. Gotta come up front. There is a speech afterwards. And then a question and answer after that.
Oh, shoot.
Tonight, we are recognizing Shanna Belts for 20 years of dedicated service to the city of Belton. Shanna started as a part-time employee with Belton Parks over 20 years ago in our child care department. And she's worked her way all the way up to our finance manager. And she watches our finances like a hawk. So she does a tremendous job for us and very good employee.
Number two, Jay Crandall, 25 years of service.
This is Stephen J. Crandall. We call him Jay. He's been with the city for 25 years. He's one of the most tenured police dispatchers we have in our 911 center. He graduated from Holmesdale High School in Pennsylvania. He's obtained his bachelor's degree in criminal justice from Salem Takeo University in 1998. He's married to Gretchen, who's also with the city, and a happy father of 4 children, proud grandfather of 3 grandchildren, and 1 on the way. And so his hobbies are geocaching, which he likes to do, riding motorcycles, bow hunting, camping, speaking German, and is also an amateur gourmet chef. And so we're congratulating him on 25 years. Thank you.
Number three, Gail Lawson, 30 years of service.
And retirement.
Andrew, well, I didn't see that. What's that? No, you can't do that. You can't do that.
Well, Gail,
The mayor wasn't gonna let you retire, I guess.
if I could have stopped it, I would have. But, you know, this is a great day. Gail is an outstanding employee in Public Works. Gail has been with us for 30 years. Here, congratulations. Gail embodies all the things we always talk about, the values the city has, the commitment to work, the dedication to service, trying to help customers all the time, going that extra mile to whatever somebody might need. Gail always does. He does with a smile on his face. He's always looking to how he can help out, how he can pitch in and do something better for the city. I mean, he truly makes our city very proud in everything he does every day. And I really appreciate the 30 years of service. And I'm going to tell you, I'm really going to miss you every day that you're gone. And I appreciate all the leadership you've given us. You know, any day that I might feel down, I just go by and see you and put a smile back on my face, because that's just the type of guy he is. And I'm really proud of you and the things that you've done, and I hope you really enjoy a very, very long retirement.
Thank you, sir.
You want to? Now, one of the things is, this is opportunity. Look at these people. They love you, man. I'd like you to bring your family up, have your family get a picture with you. Bring family first. Family.
I can remember before he worked for the city.
That makes you old.
We'll get you a family shot.
There goes half our audience.
3/4 of the audience.
Don't stay.
When it's done, you guys can go.
All right, item 2, Main Street closure, House of Husband LLC.
Hello, everyone.
Lou.
My name is Bryce Young. I am a location manager for House of Husband LLC. I'm a brother to the north, resident of Independence, Missouri, born and raised in Kansas City. So I've been here my whole life. And so I'm here to, one, I gotta say that I love to do things like this. I served on the City of Independence Planning Commission, sat in many city councils. I love these meetings. I also love talking about movies. So you are combining two of my favorite things to do at once. So in terms of the closure, I would like to provide any sort of information necessary in addition to generally just what we've been kind of talking about with the city of Belton, along with businesses, along with other groups. And I'm happy to fill in any blanks that are required, not only for our street closure, but also just the general idea and everything that we're going to be doing with the movie. We have started shooting this movie. We are in day 2. They are actually shooting right now. I left set to come here for locations. I have an assistant that is there right now. Day 1, yesterday, we shot at Luce Park. So we shot for 12 hours at Luce Park. We basically recreated an art fair scene for our lead character to kind of, movie magic. We shot the beginning where he's struggling as an artist, and then we also shot the end where he's succeeded as an artist, not to spoil anything, which I just did. So, yeah, it works out for him, Spoiler alert. Sorry. But it is, so in terms of the street closure and things like this, whenever we're watching a movie and we're like, well, how did they manage to do that? It's through meetings like this, and it's through explaining what we're here to talk about. In addition to closing the street, we have involved basically 10 businesses on Main Street in Belton that, whether we are utilizing their space for filming inside their store, whether we are using their store for the outside, which is what we're doing for a couple of them. We've come to terms with sort of a production office as well that we will sort of be using beyond the days and beyond the street closure and things like that. As far as when and what, our time in Belton has sort of begun. Some people have seen me around. There were people here months ago as we were checking out Belton. But as far as the actual shoot goes, from our presence shooting-wise, we'll start next Tuesday, July 15th, and that's kind of the exterior stuff, just random, not to be confused with Random's Coffee House, but just random shots that we have sort of lined up. Tuesday is going to be a very light day in terms of Belton. Wednesday, July 16th, now we're getting more involved. So Tuesday, July 16th, we're going to be shooting at Random's Coffee House. Through Movie Magic, we're actually going to be shooting, not to confuse things, but, you know, when you see two people talk, you have your shot of the one person and then your shot of another. We're actually, on Wednesday, July 16th, we're going to shoot one half of a conversation on the 16th to shoot the second half because of actor availability the next day. So this is like, it's movie magic, but when you see it all cut together, it's going to be like they talked in real time. Wednesday, July 16th, in addition to that, shooting at Random's Coffee House is also July 16th, where the street, Cherry Street, we're shooting a chili cook-off. I've been handing out sort of wanna be in a movie QR codes that people can scan. It then gets sent to our production office. Our production office would then, because we're looking for extras, we are looking for so many extras. And then the production office will then reach out to those people. The chili cook-off is a major scene. It's obviously involving many extras. It's a big scene for the film. We're shooting that at the Presbyterian Church. So I've been talking to Rich, not to out, we all know Rich, maybe. I've been talking to Rich. The Presbyterian Church is also going to be what we're going to be utilizing as a production office beyond our days of filming in Belton. So Wednesday, July 16th, we have the coffee house and we have the big chili cook-off. And then Thursday, July 17th, this is where the Main Street closure, where we are going to, as I said, we're going to shoot the second half, the reverse side of that scene in the coffee house. And then that night, we're going to move into our Main Street, which is what we're here to talk about. So Main Street, I mean, you know, imagine any, walk and talk scene that we've seen in a movie where people are just walking down the street and it looks gorgeous. Well, that's the shot that we want to utilize in Belton. So we're going to, ideally, starting at 6 p.m. in our block off, they're going to be walking down Main Street. They're going to essentially, through Movie Magic, we're going to take a right. And then through Movie Magic, we're going to end up near the trains. And so this is like sort of, this sort of section block off is sort of what we have in mind for, the very typical, not typical, because it's going to look great, but the very stereotypical, like, Main Street shot, gorgeous, the street lights are on, it's night, few lights, everybody looks pretty, they end up at the trains, they sit, and they basically conclude the scene at the trains. So that's Thursday. Thursday is, it's also like, logistically and crew-wise, it's the night we're going to be working late. If our lock-off starts at 6, I don't have the calendar right in front of me, but we will be done probably midnight. And so that's Thursday. Then Friday morning, we are shooting we have a deal with another business on Main Street. We're going to shoot there Friday morning. And then after Friday the 18th, our sort of Belton shoot is wrapped up and finished. But as I said, we have come to terms with the Presbyterian Church, where our last day of shooting, period, is July 30th. So from when our time begins in Belton to July 30th, we've come to terms with the Presbyterian Church to utilize the space for maybe a crew breakfast. For when crew has to meet up, we're shooting so much just B-roll of characters walking, there aren't many cars involved, so an ongoing joke in the script is that he has a bike, and so there are so many shots of us shooting the lead character on a bike of some sort. So ideally on many of those days where we have to shoot him riding a bike, we kind of start at at the office, and then we kind of break off and do what we have to do from there. So even when we aren't shooting in Belton, like our presence will still maybe be around. You might see us at randoms, you might see us getting coffee or having lunch or something like that, but we'll kind of be around until July 30th, and then we're done, and I'll be in Independence until I come back here. So, but yeah, I mean, once we wrap July 30th, we are kind of, that's a wrap. And then it's a editor's job to do what an editor does, and then hopefully we'll see it soon. But I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have about this project or otherwise.
Any questions? Go ahead.
What's the movie about?
So the movie, it's kind of a rom-com. The team has kind of called it a darker Hallmark movie. So it's sort of a rom-com, and with Main Street, couple walking down the street, we can kind of get the sense of that. So it's darker in the sense of it's a rom-com where a guy, big city guy, comes to a smaller town, stays in an Airbnb. That Airbnb is hosted by a woman who happens to think that she's a widow, and she happens to think that her husband haunts the house. So, with that, and when they start hitting it off, then things start happening in the house. So it's like a fire alarm might go off, or insert whatever hilarity ensues house issue as the two kind of start hitting it off. So it's kind of like that. Essentially, yep. So a rom-com, it's going to be very like PG-13. Even dark is not dark. So
Airbnbs aren't allowed in Belton, though.
that's true. Is that a true? Wow. No, good for you guys, because you haven't had to deal with ghosts, and you haven't had to deal with. I'm trying to think of the word from my planning commission days of temporary renters.
Yes.
Yeah, you haven't had to. Oh, good for you.
Go ahead.
Good for
Go
you.
ahead.
What is the title, and where do you anticipate it coming out at?
The working title right now is Transcending. That is the Transcending. As far as where it goes, this is actually so indie that there is not a landing spot for it yet. So the goal would be to keep the budget small, because when you can eventually find a landing spot, you're able to, get your money back and then some. So there isn't necessarily a landing spot just yet.
I would recommend that you talk to Mitchell Theaters, since it's in Belton.
Of course. Let's. No, and then, even before it lands, best case, we're talking like it lands in theater on streaming. This is all, obviously should have mentioned this. This is all being ran through the Kansas City Film Office. And so upon completion and when it is finished, regardless of whether it ends up in a theater or on a streaming service, I'm sure Kansas City is going to make it a big deal. Just like involving Belton and making it a big deal, knowing that it was shot here. I'm sure things like that will happen. Because I was just getting ready to say, yeah, because with the film office, there's not only Transcending, which is what I'm here to talk about now, but there's as we know and have seen on Facebook, Ted Lasso is also going on. With Jason Sudeikis has complimented my mustache to my face, and I still chose this movie over working on Ted Lasso, to be clear. So I'm invested. But no, and then there's like a Paul Schrader movie too. So there's 3 big things going on in Kansas City right now, and it's like things are happening, and it's also through the Kansas City Film Office, but also the Missouri Film Office in terms of incentives. We're wrapped up and involved in that as well.
I just thought it'd be nice to showcase it in Belton at the theater.
That would be, that'd be fantastic, and we should absolutely, hopefully, that'll be outside of my wheelhouse by that time, but absolutely. I'm sure things like that will be arranged.
Anybody else? Go ahead.
From a pure, this is maybe an Andrea question, but from a pure logistical standpoint, we just talked about our process for shutting down Main Street and all those things recently. I'm assuming we've checked all those boxes with this.
Yes, and those items will be coming on later in the agenda for the street closure resolution and the MOU resolution.
I'm glad you chose Belton. I'll just add that.
Oh, us too, yeah.
Are we the big city or the small town?
I mean, respectfully, you're the small town. Yeah, yeah,
I just wanted clarification.
yeah. Respectfully.
Anybody else? Go ahead.
Well, I heard that there's a couple of council members that wanted to be stars, so if there's any way that you could put them in as stars, that would be.
I got them right here, just a little QR code, and I do have copies, so feel free, yeah.
Anybody else? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you
Thanks.
guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item F, new business. 1, motion approving first reading of Bill 2025-34.
An ordinance approving a rezoning from A agricultural to BP Business Park for a 57.06 more or less acre property located at 2008 East 171st Street.
Present.
Second.
Motion is second. You're up, sir.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Before this evening is a request to rezone property at the northwest corner of 58 Highway and the CPKC Railroad tracks. And the property zoned are located at 2008 East 171st Street. The applicant is requesting to add 20 acres to an existing composting facility, which would grow the site from 37 to 57 acres. The first request this evening is to rezone the entire 57 acres from A agriculture to BP Business Park. The recent UDC land use updates allow composting facilities with a special use permit in the BP zoning district, which also aligns with the future land use plan and the 2050 comprehensive plan. Based on the review criteria in the UDC for rezoning, staff believes that the requested rezoning is consistent with the character of the area, which includes a mix of agricultural and business park uses that specialize in the production, processing, and selling of natural resources and materials. The rezoning also matches the future land use plan designation for the property as business park. The Planning Commission held a public hearing on June 17th, at which no one spoke in support or in opposition to the request. The commission unanimously recommended approval of the rezoning request, and staff also recommends approval. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Go ahead.
So these are, I'm not sure when the right item, because we have a couple items revolving around this, right? But these are things that we had previously discussed and brought forward through our work session, correct? So this is just solidifying the things that were discussed in our work session. So for anyone, I guess what I'm trying to get at is anyone who may be unfamiliar with this or may have questions, we do have other information out there from other city council meetings.
Correct. Yeah, this was discussed, I believe, the first meeting back in June.
Okay. Anything changed from that discussion to now?
No, nothing has changed with the application.
Anybody? Go ahead.
Maybe I'm jumping ahead to your presentation later, but do we typically review special use permits at regular intervals? I see initially this was 1 year, then 3 year, and now 5.
So historically, back in the 2000s, there's not any set time restriction on special use permits. The council has that at its discretion to add a review time period, and I'll get into that with the special use permit discussion, which is the next item. So we're not recommending a time restriction on it, just because it's been operating for 20 years without any incident, and we have other processes in place to revoke a special use permit if there are issues that arise.
Cool, thank you.
Anybody else? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 2, motion approving first reading of Bill 2025-35.
An ordinance approving a special use permit to allow a composting facility in a BP Business Park zoning district at 2008 East 171st Street.
Present.
Second.
Have a motion and a second.
Yep, before this evening is the special use permit request for the 57 acres located at 2008 East 171st Street for a composting facility. The special use permit for this site was first approved in 2005 and renewed in 2006 and 2009 for the existing composting facility at the site. The special use permit lapsed in 2014 as it was not renewed. However, it has continued to operate without any issues of significance during that time. It should be noted that both the city staff and the operator has changed since it expired in 2014, and neither party was aware that the special use permit had lapsed until the contractor had contacted staff in April to discuss these expansion plans. Recent UDC updates require composting facilities to obtain a special use permit for operating in the business park zoning district. There are 4 special use standards for composting facilities, which are outlined in the staff report. And due to the existing and anticipated future conditions, modifications are requested to one of those standards, which is Standard A, which requires that composting facilities be located at least 500 feet from any residential zoning district or planned residential area on the future land use map. The map included in the staff report shows the location of the site in relation to the future land use map, which includes a small piece at the northeast corner of the property that is being located within that planned residential area. However, based on the existing and anticipated future conditions and topography, staff believes that the area to the north, which is currently utilized as a horse racing track, is unlikely to develop as residential. The nearest developed residential property is about 1,100 feet to the northwest of the site. Aside from that exception, the expansion meets all other special use standards. The site also meets all site design and parking design standards with a couple of the pre-existing nonconformities that are noted in the staff report. Staff believes that the proposed expansion is appropriate and will allow an existing business to continue to grow in Belton. The Planning Commission held a public hearing on June 17th, at which no one spoke in favor or in opposition to the request, and the commission unanimously recommended approval of the request. Staff recommends approval with 4 conditions, and as I mentioned, based on the current facility operating without issue for the past 20 years, we are not recommending any time limit on the permit. And I'll stand for any questions.
Any questions? Go ahead.
Maybe I misunderstood, but you said there's a little bit of the north that could be close to a housing, but you didn't anticipate that because it's a horse race. What happens if that becomes housing?
There would still be a natural buffer there, so that northeast corner that is being rezoned, the property, or the composting facility is under contract to purchase that property from the owner of the horse racetrack. But that northeast corner that is currently within that area is going to remain the existing vegetated area. So it's a wooded area that's not going to be developed, and that's on their plan.
Anybody else? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 3, motion approving first reading of Bill 2025-36.
An ordinance approving a final plat for Casey Compost, a 1-lot subdivision on 57.06 more or less acres located at 2008 East 171st Street in the city of Belton, Missouri.
Present.
Second.
We have a motion and a second.
Yep, this is the final plat for KC Compost, which would plat the 57.06 acres as a 1-lot subdivision. Based on the size, use, and location of the property, no additional rights-of-way or easements are needed to accommodate the development. The Planning Commission unanimously recommended approval of the final plat on June 17th, and staff also recommends approval with 1 condition.
Any more questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 4, motion approving first reading of Bill 2025-37.
An ordinance approving the vacation of a utility easement located in Autumn Ridge 4th and Autumn Ridge 5th plats in the city of Belton, Missouri.
Present.
Second.
A motion and a second. You're still up.
Yep, before this evening is to request to vacate a utility easement on Autumn Ridge 4th and 5th plats, which is generally located on the north side of Solstice Court, going south to Sycamore Drive, and then southeast to the south side of Sycamore Drive between Fallen Leaf and Summer Dawn Circle. This easement was dedicated to the city in August 2007 in advance of a future Autumn Ridge 3rd plat that would have accommodated the remaining 10 duplexes that were not platted until the fifth plat in 2024. Staff notified the utility companies of this request that have potential interest in the easement, as well as properties on which the easement is located. Only 2 of the lots are not owned by the applicant, for which those owners also received notice of the vacation request. We did not receive any concerns from any property owners or utility companies on the vacation of this easement. There's also no known utilities within the easement, as the utility companies have already utilized the other rights-of-way or easements within the 4th and 5th plats for installations to accommodate new residential development. The Planning Commission held a public hearing on Tuesday, July 1st, at which no one spoke in favor or in opposition to the request, and they unanimously recommended approval of the vacation request. Staff also recommends approval of the easement to be vacated to allow the buyer to close on the remaining lots in Autumn Ridge 5th plat for single-family homes. And based on that, if there are no unanswered questions or concerns this evening, staff does request a second reading to allow the vacation to be recorded so the buyer may proceed with closing on the properties.
Any questions? Go ahead.
Regarding the requested second reading, oh, maybe I should wait. Never mind. I'm gonna wait when we, okay.
Any other questions on the first read? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Motion for a second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for a second reading. Any discussion? Go ahead.
We had a previous council, resolution or probably resolution that came forward that, or ordinance, I'm not sure which, I don't recall, but that already discussed this plat of land, so they're ready to go. This is literally just the last thing that they're waiting on, which is the reason for this second reading.
Correct. The applicant reached out, I believe it was the end of May. They already had a closing set up for the middle of June on this. The buyer's title work came back and discovered this easement. It had not been discovered through previous title work for the 4th and 5th plats. So essentially they've been waiting now for several weeks to close on this property to go through this process.
And this is, no change in a plan, no change in a application, anything like that. This is simply just us vacating an easement that allows them to move forward from a title perspective.
Correct.
Any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Motion approved the second reading of Bill 2025-37.
An ordinance approving the vacation of a utility easement located in Autumn Ridge 4th and Autumn Ridge 5th plats in the city of Belton, Missouri.
Present.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any more discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Councilmember Lawson?
Aye.
Johnson?
Aye.
White?
Aye.
Richardson?
Aye.
Davidson?
Yes.
Pryan?
Aye.
McCallum?
Aye.
Mayor Larkey?
Yes,
Thompson?
Yes.
motion carries. Item 5, motion approving the first reading of Bill 2025-38.
An ordinance amending Section 26-5 of the Unified Development Code to modify residential driveway standards to improve the effectiveness of the code.
Present.
Second.
Have a motion and a second.
Yep, for
Still
this evening, this evening are UDC text amendments to Section 26-5 for residential driveway standards. These amendments are requested by staff based on a number of items that regularly come up through the permit review process and inquiries from residents, builders, and the Code Enforcement Advisory Council. The purpose of the amendments are to expand options for driveway configurations, access points, and pavement options. The staff report also includes images to help illustrate some of the expanded options that are proposed. The main changes to the standards include increasing the maximum driveway coverage in the front yard from 35% to 50%, regardless of cul-de-sac location. The current 35% restriction limits many of our standard 70-foot wide lots from adding a third car parking pad on the side of the 2-car driveway or to the side of the house. This also includes adding exceptions for horseshoe or circle drives on lots with over 125 feet of frontage, regardless of agricultural or large lot zoning or minimum 1-acre lot sizes. So that would accommodate driveways in larger, circle driveways in larger lot neighborhoods such as Hardy Meadows or Kentucky View, which are zoned R1. For paving materials, we would be restoring the gravel driveway allowance for agricultural zoning districts for driveways that are longer than 200 feet, with the condition that the front 50 feet of the driveway length be paved to limit gravel being tracked into the right-of-way. And then allow ribbon driveways inside and rear yards, which allows concrete or block paving strips for the wheel tracks with the turf grass or other low growth ground cover in between. These proposed code amendments are intended to accommodate additional off-street parking options, including some that are more cost-effective to help provide more options for regularly used vehicles and equipment, such as boats, RVs, and trailers, to not block the primary driveway spaces or garage spaces, which has a tendency to push other regularly used vehicles into the street. The Code Enforcement Advisory Committee has expressed parking concerns over the past 2 years and has wanted to see ribbon driveways as an affordable option that has minimal impact on stormwater. These amendments were presented to that committee on May 22nd, and they unanimously recommended approval. The Planning Commission also had a public hearing on these amendments on June 17th, at which no one spoke in favor or in opposition to the request. The commission unanimously recommended approval of the amendments, and staff also recommends approval of the amendments. And we've also shared these amendments with the UDC consulting team so that they are aware of the proposed changes for incorporation or further modification with the future update next year. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Go ahead.
Nowhere in here does this change the current requirement for the right-of-way to be specific materials, concrete, as opposed to asphalt, something like that.
Correct. The concrete in the right-of-way is still a requirement, and that is in a separate, that's in the Public Works Design and Construction Manual, so it's not impacted by this.
Okay.
Go ahead.
This has been a hot topic, so I appreciate that we got it fixed, because this has been something that we've talked at the Code Advisory Committee for at least a year and a half, so thank you, Matt.
Anybody else? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 6, motion approving the first reading of Bill 2025-39.
An ordinance approving a memorandum of understanding between the Belton Fire Department and South Metropolitan Fire Protection District outlining the location, use, and access to Honeywell Station Alerting Gateway equipment.
Present.
Second.
A motion and a second. You're up, sir.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Several meetings ago, I brought forth to you guys a resolution to approve the installation of the station alerting system. There was a major upgrade and a tie-in to our CAD system. This is a continuation of that. We kind of learned once we got into the project that South Metro which is good, beat us to the punch. And so theirs is up and running, and as we started to develop ours, we figured out that we didn't need to have redundant primary and backup servers, and so we can literally use the same equipment they have if every fire department in the county were to join into this. And so as a part of making the system a little bit more safe, I guess, we talked with them and talked about moving the backup server that they already have into our facility so that they're split up, because currently they're sitting in the same building. And so this was it was a good cooperative deal that helped save us money up front, and also to make the system a little bit more viable in case something were to happen in one building or the other. And so looking forward into the future, it'll still be a cost savings dependent. At this point, their fire chief is willing to go, you know what, we'll always just foot the equipment, but that might not always be the deal. But at the very least, we're always going to be sharing the cost of updating equipment with how many other fire departments choose to sign on and use the same system. So happy to answer any questions. The other thing actually that I would ask too is that if we could get a double read tonight, and that reason would be because us learning of this and then having to get together with the MOU, the equipment's already been delivered and they're actually installing equipment, not this, but the hard equipment in the station's already started today. So we want to try to get this wrapped up before we touch any of the server equipment.
Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Motion for second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for a second reading. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Motion approving the second reading of Bill 2025-39.
An ordinance approving a memorandum of understanding between the Belton Fire Department and South Metropolitan Fire Protection District outlining the location, use, and access to Honeywell Station Alerting Gateway equipment.
Present.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing and seeing none, roll call, please.
Councilmember Pryan,
Aye.
Davidson,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
White,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
McCallum,
Aye.
Lawson,
Aye.
Mayor Larky,
Yes,
Richardson.
Aye.
motion passes. Item 7, motion approving resolution 2025-57.
A resolution authorizing and approving House of Husband LLC to close a portion of Main Street and surrounding side streets as noted for film recording in July 2025.
Present.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
I don't have anything to add to that other than what Bryce already presented. It's a block of Main Street that goes to Walnut and then ends over at the railroad yard, and they have already spoken with the railroad.
Any other questions? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. 8, motion approving resolution 2025-58.
A resolution authorizing and approving a memorandum of understanding between the City of Belton, Missouri and House of Husband LLC for film recording in July 2025.
Present.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any other discussion?
I do have something to add to this one.
There you go.
Since it was published, there was a change to the last page of the MOU. The City of Belton Public Works Department will be providing the traffic control and the barricades instead of House of Husband providing it. And that has been discussed with Greg, and it's approved through Public Works.
Copy that. Anybody else? Hearing none, all in favor?
whoa, whoa,
Oh, sorry. I didn't see
Is-
the finger wave yet.
Well, I was thinking, what, can you give a rough estimate, because this has been a topic recently. Can you give a rough estimate of what this will like cost us from a perspective of having to do that work?
So our cost is basically exactly that number that we have on there's $500 and some dollars.
$530, it's on the MOU.
Thank you.
And so the standard cost that we're going to charge them, because they're actually going to do it twice, set up twice, we're going to charge them twice for it.
Okay. And arguably, we'll see some return on this with hopefully how fantastic the movie will be and how it'll take off and, you know, put Belton on the map in a different way, so.
And how much they love our road.
Yeah.
Yes.
It'll
Well,
make,
and how much they love our downtown.
it'll make them, and it'll make us.
Okay. Thanks.
Anybody else? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Consent agenda. One motion not available to approve recommendations noted. Any member of the council may ask for an item to be taken from consent agenda for discussion and separate action.
Present.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Communication from City Council. Councilmember Johnson.
I just wanted to say, I think we all received an email from Help Humane Society, and I'm not going to steal your thunder. I just wanted to say that since my husband and I moved to Cass County, we've always adopted pets from Help Humane Society. They do a great job, and congratulations to them on their achievement and receiving a certificate for 90% involvement. So I appreciate that, and glad that we all made it through the 4th of July, and we're all here and uninjured, and our hearing is still intact.
Councilmember McCallum.
Yeah, I didn't see anybody with missing fingers, so that's a good sign. I just want to take a minute to talk about the recognitions, because I know I've said it before, but I'm probably going to say it every single time we see those, is it's one of my favorite parts about being up here, and it's awesome to see people put in that much dedication to the city, and to the point where we end up with retirees. So congratulations again to those individuals. I just want to, again, point that out. I would, on the note of fireworks, and maybe there's maybe this is an ask for the future if there's, because I'm going to be putting you on the spot a little bit, Chief Lyons, but just would like to, if there's anything, an update you could provide from an enforcement perspective. Did we see anything noteworthy, anything that would be something that, worth sharing as in regards to how that week went? Because I know you see a lot of complaints, let me put it that way. So if you could provide us an update, whether so you have something prepared now, which I'm going to guess you don't, or in the future, just thought I'd put that out there. I also want to take a moment, we saw the email about Help Humane Society, and just, say they're known as a no-kill shelter, and they were recently awarded that 90% save rate for animals that are brought to them. So I thought that's pretty awesome. That's something within our community, and they're getting, recognized for that. I also had a few people talk to me about some concerns with cruise nights on Main Street, and this isn't a concern of like it being a problem, but actually the opposite. They're concerned that, that the attendance was quite low, and they genuinely love the event and would love to see more of that. I know that's out of the city hands at this time, but I guess I want to bring some attention to that, because if you, we can help promote that type of event. And if there's anything, anyone else has ideas, or if anybody else has been talked to like I have, then, it's something that if you have connections with any of the folks that are helping run it, that we can share those concerns, because this was a people that genuinely love that event were just concerned with the low attendance recently. TDD board has not met since the last time, so I don't have any update. And then, of course, I have a parks update. So there was a groundbreaking for the construction of the outdoor pickleball courts. And there were, maybe one of the coolest things about that is there were several people from the community that joined that were just genuinely very excited about the pickleball courts. So that was a fun little start. And then Cleveland Lake is getting an ADA fishing dock, and that installation has started, and construction of that has begun. So if you see some dirt and water being moved over there, you'll know what's going on. End of July is the hope, but of course that's weather dependent. Farmers market still taking place every Thursday. And then this Friday, we have the next food truck event. So, Mr. Prine, just so you got that on your calendar. So that's in Memorial Park, 6:30, I believe. Okay, 6:30. I'm getting the nod from Brian. And then of course summer camp is still going on as well for those interested in that. So that is everything that I have.
Councilmember Richardson.
I got nothing.
Councilmember Lawson.
Just to go back to the fireworks real quick, being out of Facebook land, I missed the annual hubbub. So my question, Chief Sapp, I feel like last year there were several car fires and then a park structure that had caught fire. It seems like maybe we saw less of that activity this year. Is that right?
Yeah, that's accurate. I don't know exactly how many had. I would guess somewhere around a half a dozen, just small. They came in as grass fires, or I think that the city might have lost a couple trash receptacles as far as, residential. They might have melted down from putting their stuff in there a little too soon. But nothing major, no large injuries that caused us to have any ambulance calls or anything like that. It seemed like the volume overall, especially that night, was down as far as fireworks themselves.
Okay, great, thank you. And I would just say, for the folks celebrating, they're not here now, but maybe I'll just cut to the chase. For my father-in-law, who's retiring after 30 years with the city of Belton, he is the kind of guy that prided himself in a job well done and took pride in doing a good job. You know, the streets were getting swept. Main Street was getting swept before events. He logged countless hours in a snow plow overnight, so we're losing a good one there, but that just means more time for him to hang out with my kid. So thanks, everybody, for the warm reception you gave him tonight.
I'd also like to give 2 thumbs up for the summer camp. My grandchildren are both attending, so I guess it's 4 thumbs up. they're having a blast, and you guys are doing a great job. Bryce, I'm sure you're busy, but you need to check out the Belton Fire Department Facebook page. If you need an extra, this gentleman sings, and I happen to know he's a heck of a square dancer. And I'm in trouble now. That also brings up the annual back-to-school drive, and that's what the mayor is singing about, is the police and the fire department are having a little fun. So please pick up some extra school supplies and dropping them off at either the fire department or the police department. I think the police are eager to get the trophy back, so if you have anything extra, send it their way.
We call that fear.
Here.
That's all I have.
Go ahead.
I'm good. Everything's been said, so.
I have to compliment the summer camps. It keeps Bud very entertained during the day by hearing all those kids across the tracks that I can now see the park. So good job on the summer camp. There's a lot of commotion over there.
A couple things. I want to thank the citizens, it wasn't of Belton, but their humanity by returning the dog to the individual that got his car stolen over at the Quick Trip. And it just shows the humanity that's in our area. I also want to thank the movie for picking Belton. This is a great place, and I hope you highlight it well. And I'm old, so I can't remember my last one.
All right, I don't have anything to report. City manager?
Mr. Mayor, yeah, a couple of things. Just want to remind the public and everybody who might be social media savvy as to, if you follow the City of Belton Facebook and social media, then there are consistent updates on things, capital projects, major capital projects especially. There's been updates on the extension of Marquee going up to North Scott. We give updates on where we're at in our capital streets program, things like that. That's a good place to get some information. Also, when a vendor pulls an audible, like such as the trash service, and says, hey, we're going to go ahead and pick up on the 4th of July rather than do it the next business day like they generally do, those things get shared on social media. If folks can just tune into those, I know it's not convenient sometimes, that they are a wealth of information for the things that are going on in the city.
Just real quick, I'll add, for the first time in a while, I've been getting a lot of happy calls about the streets. So really glad that work is being done.
All right, items for review and discussion. Number 1, permit process.
Yes, so we get a lot of questions about our permitting and inspection process, so I wanted to give just a high-level overview to the City Council on kind of what that process looks like and where all that information is on our website. So we try to keep our website up to date. The community development webpage, we try to organize it and lay it out in a way that's easy for people to kind of navigate their way through there. As you all know, we did launch our eTrack-It portal back in October last year, which now takes all of our permits and licenses through the website. But we have a number of different web pages within our web page. We have one that's specifically for permits inspections, which I'll go through that. But we also have all of our neighborhood improvement processes, comprehensive plan, planning and zoning, rental registration. We keep updated public hearing notices on there as well. Anytime that we send out a notice to the newspaper, it goes on the website as well as any upcoming neighborhood meetings for development projects. We talked a little bit about this, I think, previously about the development guidebook. It's hyperlinked in the presentation if you want to take a look at that. Tonight, mostly I'm talking about, on a 9-step process, we're talking about items 6, 7, and 8, which is building, permitting, construction, and then inspections. So under permits and inspections on our website, we have a permits and inspections page that specifically has some documents on there that are really helpful. So the main one, and we also have copies out in our lobby, is when is a permit required. That's probably the number one question we get asked from citizens or residents or contractors is whether or not they need a building permit. So we have a complete list on there of, I mean, it's as complete as we can make it. Obviously, not every situation may be on there, but that's why we also have kind of a caveat on there that if your specific scope of work doesn't fit within there, to contact us and we can let you know what kind of permits would be required. But also on there, we have our fee schedule, the types of inspections that are required, a link to our adopted codes, some helpful permit and zoning guides for more specific details on types of work. And then just over the last few months, we started uploading our monthly permit reports on there as well. So people have access to those, of the number of permits we issued, and those get into details of what who the contractor is, what the scope of work was, the address, those types of things. So I apologize, it looks like it's a little blurry on here, but this is the when is a building permit required document. So it lists out all of the general requirements. Obviously, new construction is always going to need a permit, but then where we get into a lot of confusion is when there's just some cosmetic work or other tenant improvements that are required. So generally, any new walls, electrical, plumbing, and mechanical require a permit. The electrical, plumbing, and mechanical require a licensed professional to be able to do that work. Cosmetic work is exempt from permitting, so that can include swapping out light fixtures, sinks, toilets, as long as there are no changes to the electrical or plumbing itself. So painting, redoing flooring, those types of things do not require permits because those are just considered cosmetic work. Accessory structures, re-roofs, all those things require permits. We specifically have a section down here of when building permits are not required, just to call those out. So if you're just repaving a driveway that's not in the right-of-way, you don't need a permit for that, but if you are in the right-of-way, you'll still need a right-of-way permit for that. Windows and door replacements, if you're just changing within the same size, you don't need one, but if you're increasing or decreasing the size of that opening, you need a permit. And then there's some smaller accessory structures under 120 square feet, as long as they don't have electrical, plumbing, or mechanical, those don't need permits as well. Yeah.
Can I ask a quick question? Looking at the when is a building permit required, like the fourth or fifth dot, new or replacement of HVAC or water heater, like hot water heater tank?
Yes. Technically, those are require a permit. We
Okay.
receive very few of those.
I maybe know people who have replaced them without a permit. That's
Yes, we don't get a lot of
interesting.
those. And that might be one of those things, you know, the main reason that we look at that is just to make sure that it's been properly connected and it's not a life safety issue for people, so.
Okay, thanks.
But what would, since that's supposed to be, what do they do in an emergency? If it's on a Friday night, they have to wait 3 or 4 days? They can't just go to Lowe's? Or Home Depot, excuse me.
So
That's in Belton.
emergency permits, we do make exceptions for those. It's not uncommon for people to do emergency repairs. We let them make those repairs. We just won't do an inspection until they've gotten their permit. And so a lot of times they're going to want an inspection, or insurance is going to want proof of an inspection to pass that.
Might I point something
Go
out?
ahead, go ahead.
Sometimes it's easy for folks to do a replacement of something and not get a permit and just say, they don't know, all's good, right? Well, if something were to fail on that and you burn your house down or something like that, and your insurance gets an understanding that it was replaced and it wasn't permitted and it wasn't reviewed, that could lead to an issue with, your own insurance company. So I just want to give folks that warning beforehand.
The other thing that we run into a lot is when somebody's buying a property, they will do a request on those permits. And so title agencies and others will do that kind of background research. And so if there are any concerns that something was not properly permitted, then that becomes a potential issue in the sale process.
And in those emergency situations where you do emergency, how far back can they go before, to apply for a,
How long ago was it?
I haven't done it yet, I'm just preparing.
We don't really have a timeline on
Okay,
that, but
thank you.
I mean, typically the emergency, they usually notify us when it's happening or immediately after it was installed. So,
That's good.
so we have the 2018 International Building and Fire Codes adopted. We adopted these back in September of 2022, and they went into effect on January 1st, 2023. This includes the 2017 National Electrical Code. The electrical code is on an off year compared to the rest of the building codes. But this is an example. These are all the different codes that we have adopted. This is the stack of the book, just so you can see kind of how much code that is with the laptop in the background. So that's about 1.5 feet of code book that our building official and our inspectors have to review and enforce. We do have our local amendments, so every time that we do a code update for the international building codes, we make local amendments. Typically, our building official and our fire marshal work with other area building officials and fire marshals on having similar local amendments. It makes most sense to work regionally. Because that's easy for specifically home builders like that, because they're able to kind of streamline their development plans. If it works in Belton, it's going to work in other cities or vice versa. And then we have some other local amendments, specifically on the property maintenance code, which is more enforced by our neighborhood improvement team. So the local amendments are available in the UDC, and those are in the code on MuniCode. The rest of the code, the bulk of the code, is viewable as a read-only online at codes.iccsafe.org. You can select iCodes and click the 2018 codes, and any of those codes will pop up. They can't be printed or copied due to copyright law. We are required by state statute to keep at least one physical copy of each book, and we do have those in our office, so anybody is able to come by the annex and view them in the lobby. We're not allowed to make any copies of it, and they're not allowed to take the book with them. But if somebody just wants to look up a code, they can look those up online, but again, they don't have a print option or a copy paste option for those. Inspections, these lists are also on our website. These are just kind of high-level overview of the typical types of inspections that we have for residential and commercial, based on the scope of work. These are generally, if you're doing an entirely new construction, these are all the inspections that you typically find. But if you're just doing like a re-roof, we just do a mid-phase inspection before they put the shingles down. And a lot of the electrical, mechanical, HVAC, those just have the one inspection when it's installed. So most of our permit types only are going to have 1 or 2 inspections. It's really just the new construction that's going to have, sometimes 15, 20 different inspections along the process. We also have our permit and zoning guides on here. So these are just some of the more frequently asked questions and types of permits that come in. So we've tried to update those over the last couple of years to make those a little bit more interactive with graphics and visual examples for reference. Some of the ones that we probably use more frequently include our accessory structure handout, which we did just update recently based on some of the UDC updates. We also have our driveway standards, our new residential construction information packet, which has helped us with a lot of our new home builders, being able to give them the information that they need so they know exactly what they need to submit. The fence standards are on there as well. There are a few that are less frequently referenced that still have some references to the 2012 codes that do need to be updated. However, the codes in those specific situations did not really change between 2012 and the 2018 codes. As I mentioned, we have the new online portal, which is linked not only on our webpage, but on the main webpage. It's one of the 6 icons at the top of the page that says permits and licenses. That'll take you directly to this portal where anybody can register and then apply for permits, planning projects, inspections, and licenses. This is just kind of an example of going into a permit where you select the permit type, and then if there's a subtype, it'll have a drop-down menu. So here's an example of commercial, where you have a new shell, tenant finish, et cetera. Fill in the information, attach the plans, put in the address, and then submit it. And then once it's been submitted, we receive a notification in the system that it's been submitted. So what this has led to is it's helped us greatly expedite our permitting review process. So just an example of kind of where we're at currently on our time frame. It's generally 3 business days for review and approval. I should say review of a building permit. If there are modifications needed or we're waiting on a contractor license, it will slow down the process. But if we have all the plans we need and the contractor is licensed, 3 business days is typical, is our kind of not our guarantee, but what we try to strive for on any kind of the trades or roof permits. But typically on those, we're getting those issued sometimes within the hour of when they come in, as long as everybody has their licenses and the correct plans. New residential permits, we're at 5 business days, and then new commercial permits, we're at 10 business days. That also includes alterations or tenant finishes for those, but depending on the scope of work, if they're smaller, we try to expedite those as much as we can. But overall, we have received positive feedback on the portal, especially the fact that it was taking us a significant amount of time to get permits entered into the old system, and it was a little bit clunky. We had to go back and forth. We didn't have online payment options, so it's helped really expedite the permitting approval process through that portal. And just some general comparisons, we do regularly look in and see how other cities are improving their permitting process, so we ensure that we're remaining competitive with them. As I mentioned, we received positive feedback on the speed of issuing our permits. Our scope of work for requiring permits is comparable to other cities. We're not doing anything that's unusual. Generally, the permit requirements are typically codified in the International Building Code, so that's a pretty standard code throughout the country. And we are currently starting the review of the 2024 building codes. The building official and the fire marshal have been meeting with some of the other area representatives on those with the potential to adopt those sometime within the next year. So those are some items that we are looking for. Overall, the 2024 building codes, it does not appear, just the few that I've seen, there's not significant changes within those, and we always have the ability to make some local amendments, and we will continue to look at those and bring those forward, hopefully here within the next 6 to 9 months.
Go ahead.
Regionally, does that include Kansas?
Yes. All the Johnson County cities are also on the International Building Code.
Yeah, I assume they were, but I meant like when we were trying to become more consistent across the region, obviously we think of, our neighbors, right? But I was, obviously we have some Kansas neighbors too. So I guess I was just curious if we go across that border, if things change drastically or not from that standpoint.
We do look at Olathe, Lenexa, some other cities to see what they're doing. And again, we're all kind of in line with what each other are doing on the permitting process.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions?
Anybody else? Thank you.
Yep.
Good information. All right, item L, I would entertain a motion to enter an executive session to discuss matters pertaining to legal actions according to Missouri State Statute 610.021.1 pertaining to the leasing, purchase, sale of real estate, according to Missouri State Statute 610.021.2 pertaining to negotiated contracts according to Missouri State statute 610.02.12, and if the record be closed and the meeting adjourned from there.
Present.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Mayor Larkey,
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson,
Aye.
Pryan,
Aye.
White,
Aye.
Richardson,
Aye.
McCallum,
Aye.
Lawson,
Aye.
Thompson,
Yes.
Davidson.
Yes.
Motion carries.